Welcome back to Omni Garage. So today's video obviously is a little bit different in style. We're sitting here in the garage and we want to take you on a bit of a journey, a bit of a story through who we are individually, how Omni Garage started, what we're doing with the channel, and where we'd like to see it progress in the future.
So I'm Glenn, and basically car started for me when I got the blue 2007 WRX. So you guys have seen it on the channel a lot, and that's where my sort of car passion really started. So that was kind of like a childhood dream for me, was to get one of those cars. That's the car I saw growing up, and I thought that car was pretty cool, and so I finally got one. So I just have a regular 9-to-5 job. I work throughout the week, and then at the weekends I have spare time to do whatever I like. And so when I got that car, at the time I was living in an apartment, and I didn't have any access to a garage. I didn't have any access to a water supply, so for washing that car for me was really quite difficult. So I'd start by cleaning that car. I'd go drive over the other side of the town, and I'd go to a thing like a washing world, and I'd put a couple of bucks into the little machine there, and I'd squirt some terrible turtle wax products on there, and you get the 3 different colour foam, and then I'd get that brush out with the big bristles, and I'd just scratch the surface up, and then at the end I would then pull it in and I'd dry it with a chamois, and on my way I'd go. So as you sort of get into that process, you start to want to look after the car, and then I decided, right, I could buy some products myself, and so I went to the local department store, and it would be things like Suchi Porto, be Repco, and you'd be buying off the shelf stuff, that's sort of that DIYs type range. And I've had good go with Armour All, because everyone starts with Armour All, that real glossy stuff.
But interior protection.
Yeah, the interior protection, it's real gloss, it's real tacky, it's real sticky. And then you sort of go, well, I could buy something different, try a different range of products. And then it's when I really got into it, because then I'd start and buy Meguiar's. So for me, I guess that Meguiar's range was a real sort of starting point for me getting into the detailing car. And then as time sort of moved on, I learned a little bit more about the processes, I learned a little bit more about the products. And then I moved into a place just around the corner here where I could have a garage, I could have an outdoor facility, I could have a hose, and then that's where I really started to develop my detailing skills.
Yeah, so I'm Glenn as well, so ironic, we've got Glenn and Glenn. Like Glenn here, I work a normal 9-to-5 job, and I guess passion for me as well hasn't always been cars. I've always owned a reasonable car up until the last few years, where I ended up kind of driving around a bit of a beta daily driver. It was a Mazda 3, we called it Daddy's little car. So it's only recently, within the last 12 to 18 months, that I picked up my WRX, and I guess that's reignited my passion for detailing and working on cars as well. I'm a complete novice when it comes to anything mechanical on cars, so we've pretty much taken you on the journey through the channel so far. The first oil change I've done, but detailing for me, that's always been a passion. Even if I've had an older car, I've really enjoyed making sure that, particularly for me, the interior is really clean. And I've also been down that rabbit hole of purchasing a whole bunch of different detailing products.
And I suppose for you, you've always had that luxury of having a garage and having an outside facility, so you've been able to wash that type of process and learn through that, rather than me having to go to the coin. And
so it didn't stop me though from going down to Wash World anyway and assaulting my car with that same brush. And I mean, I'd drive out of Wash World and think my car looked absolutely amazing, even though I just inflicted a whole bunch of scratches.
And I suppose at that point in life, when you don't know any different, you don't know how you can be any better, and you just think that you're doing a great job, and you go, yeah, I'm caring for my car, I'm washing it once a month, and even then that's a stretch, and you think that that's great, but until you dig deep into YouTube channels and you talk to other detailers and you learn about the process, that you actually go, wow, what I did for the last 6 years of my life was terrible, and I'm actually destroying that paint. And when you come into correction phase, you're like, damn, why did I even bother doing that? Because I've made that job so much harder now.
Oh, exactly. Like, it's a little bit embarrassing to look back at the way we used to wash cars, but I think that probably, that leads us to where we've got to today, right? If we hadn't washed like that, we wouldn't quite appreciate, I think, the new processes we've developed now.
And that's called experience, and through experience you develop some knowledge, and I think that's kind of where we're at the moment, right?
Yeah. So I went down the rabbit hole a few years ago, probably right when Obsessed Garage YouTube channel was starting, and it was probably the start for me, where I started going, hey, I'm doing this wrong. There's probably better ways that I can do this, and that opened up a whole other avenue for me, different YouTube channels, and I started exploring some resources.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of led to where we first met, right? I just travelled to the USA, and I'd come back with a whole suitcase full of Meguiar's products. I thought, this is it, Meguiar's, these look amazing. I literally filled half a suitcase with a whole range of products from Walmart.
And you can buy it so much cheaper, right?
Oh, I mean, a bottle was, $6, $7 versus $40, $50 we pay on the shelf here.
And I suppose at that time when I met you as well, I had been quite deep into Maguires at that time, because I used to read the NZ Performance Car magazine, and they'd always have a sponsored page of Maguires, and I thought, okay, well, if this is being advertised in a magazine, it must be pretty reasonable. Take what you want from that. And so I got heavy into Maguires, and then when I came around to your place to meet you for the first time, it was like, this guy's got Maguires all on the shelf. And that was kind of like the connection point, right? Is that I'm using Maguires, you're using Maguires, we're both in the car, so all of a sudden that awkward meet time has already sort of been eased a little bit, because we've got this common ground to talk about.
It was a bit of an awkward meet though. I remember when this fella turned up for the first time we've probably hung out properly.
For the first time?
For the first time, yeah, we had a bit of a wild driving incident, right?
Well, I just got the Subaru and I thought I was real cool, and I thought that was a real fast car, but definitely not. So what happened?
Yeah, I think we were shooting out to the supermarket. I think we were probably on our way to get a few supplies for the evening. And and I said to Glenn, when you pull out of the driveway here, not when you pull out, I said there's a good open road just down the road here. So we pulled out of our driveway, which is quite a long driveway. I think Glenn thought we'd hit that road right there and then. Definitely wasn't the right road.
Definitely wasn't the right road, and I just made my way down the road, basically, didn't I?
Sure did. He opened it up and showed us how quick you could get to the speed limit, plus some nice and quickly. And I remember we called those who were waiting at home and said, get the garage door open for us, because we need to pull in and get this car under cover as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Because we may have had a few witnesses to the power of the WRX, right?
But we got home all safe, so let's not worry about it.
We did. And
what did you think of me at that time? When I meet this guy for the first time?
I remember I walked in and I said to my wife, this fella is crazy.
Reckless.
Reckless was the word.
Reckless was the word, yeah.
But it didn't stop us from getting the car out in the driveway the next day, and I think we kind of did our first wash together, right?
Yeah, and you told me literally last night we've been sort of putting this together over the last sort of week or so, but last night we had a little bit of a chat about what we're going to talk about, and you brought up the point of the first real wash together. So I had to guess what kind of soap it was, and it was the Geon Snow Foam.
Yeah, Geon Foam. So I had only just purchased a Karcher pressure washer. I got the little foam cannon attachment for it. And I just really got into the Geon.
And I remember actually telling me, man, don't use too much of this, because this is real expensive. This stuff's real expensive. It's like $40 a bottle or something.
I think we had another friend around at the time as well when we washed his car. So we kind of did 3 in 1 in the space of 30 minutes. Man, we were terrible, but I think that was...
we were washing out in the sun. It was all like water spot galore.
Terrible to look back on, but I think that for us was the start of a friendship, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a bit of an interesting story as to how we first met with this crazy fella and our wash in the sun.
Which is quite funny, because you think I'm the most reckless, but actually as times develop, you're definitely the more reckless person.
Yeah, I'm prepared to take a bit of a risk, shall we say, from time to time. So that was really the story as to how we met, and that kind of led us to the start of Omni Garage.
Yeah. So then you live another town away, so over the course of a couple of months or so, travelling backwards and forwards with hanging out and things like that, we started talking about detailing and talking about what kind of products you're using, and we're talking a bit about process and things like that. And then sort of came the time where you kind of moved over here, right?
Yeah, so the garage that we're sitting in here now, this property's about 200-300 metres from yours, so we're only just around the corner.
Just around the corner. Which is really quite handy, because we both work Monday to Friday, so therefore all of the things you guys see on the channel is usually done at the weekend, it's usually done on Sunday, and then we edit through the week and publish on kind of like a Friday, right?
Yeah.
So it's really handy to have this location that's close to each other, and we live in a pretty nice area, and so it does help to make sure that our YouTube content is really good.
So I think at that point you had the WRX, I had Daddy's little car. So we're probably spending a bit more time talking and looking at your car, but that probably led us through to the first trip that we took away. Is
actually before that we had been talking about Glenn previously had a YouTube channel in his teenage years, and he did quite well, and I had started to learn a little bit about YouTube. I didn't really watch too much TV, and I didn't watch too much YouTube, and I never watched any movies, and so you sort of said, hey, you got to get onto YouTube. You got to get onto YouTube, and so I started watching a little bit of YouTube, and I heard people getting ads and getting paid and getting huge views and being able to create some money, and I was like, man, this detailing stuff's starting to become expensive. Cars are expensive, parts are becoming expensive. So you said, hey, we could actually get into a little bit of YouTube and we could get some sort of ad revenue, some sponsorship, and we can actually sort of start and fund a little bit of our passion by doing the things that we're already doing on YouTube. And
so we were kind of just throwing that around at the time, right? It was just a hypothetical chat, and I think it's important to mention there as well. You know, we live in New Zealand, and it is really tough to get products here affordably as well. We're either paying, you know, through our ears for shipping on it, or it's just not available.
It's almost double the price sometimes on shipping. You're right, products you can't buy here. Help is pretty slim on the ground as well, so we haven't really found any big YouTube channels where we can go to and leverage from either. So it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, for this type of content is extremely tough, and so
we ended up taking a trip. So we, you know, our partners and ourselves, we planned a trip. I think we did that over New Year's 2020. Sort of been the 2019-2020 New Year's.
Yep.
And we went to Napier, so it's probably a 3-4 hour drive from where we are here. And basically we had a week of absolutely no plans, nothing that we needed to do that week. And I think that kind of led us on day number 4.
But when you go to Napier, there's also not a lot you can do either.
No, there wasn't. I mean, we can go to the beach, we can hang out. Beautiful time of the year, obviously summer in New Zealand. But that led us to a bit of boredom and what should we do on day number 4 or 5.
So this time we only had the blue WRX, and so we had the cameras. I think we actually videoed that all on iPhone. No, you had bought the gimbal. You had bought the DJI gimbal.
No, so that had come later after the first
No,
video.
I'm telling you now, you had the gimbal.
Nah, 100% we didn't. I bought that gimbal after we went back to
You reckon?
Yep, so gimbal didn't.
All
the
debate.
gimbal came later. Nah, 100%.
100%.
I can prove it.
Okay.
So what we did, that first video we made.
Are you sure?
100% sure. Because I remember we went back, we made the first video, went back to work the
I
following
remember
week.
having the gimbal kit.
I sent you a Snapchat. I
Okay.
sent him a Snapchat of me going into a local Noel Leeming store. So, you know, like a Best Buy. And I said, oh, here we go, I've got this video number 2.
Okay.
We did that all handheld, and we did it all in slow motion.
Yeah, so we made this pretty... At the time, we thought this video was amazing. So we made just a driving video of the car. It took us hours, like 9-10 hours.
It was a minute 13, the video. Go back to the first video on the channel if you don't believe me there. I'm sure it was a minute 13.
Yeah.
For every second of that video, we probably spent...
We micromanaged every
10,
little
15
flip.
minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
picture perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time we thought we'd made it and release it right on midnight.
Yep.
And when we got 100 views, remember that day, the next day, the New Year's Day, we were watching it. It was like, oh yeah, 100 views. We thought we were real big time.
Yeah.
And so basically that video, we go back every now and again and we have a look at the video and we go, oh man, we've come a long way since then. But that video was the real starting point of YouTube for us, and that's how we sort of got onto our further videos. And I think for you, having driven the blue Subaru, you kind of like that kind of platform, and we had sort of lengthy discussion about you getting one.
Yep.
And your initial thoughts, I remember this, your initial thoughts was, I just want to get a WRX.
It was money. It was money, right? So at the time I was thinking, you know, over here I could probably find a quite clean example of, I think it was probably a 2010 to 2013 WRX I was looking at. I was specific. I wanted white, obviously had to be manual, and I was just looking for a nice clean sedan at the time. And I thought around that, you know, $20,000 to $25,000 was that kind of mark. I thought, yeah, that's achievable. Let me look at one of these.
And so definitely sold on getting a WRX. And now one of the things I don't like about the 2007 wagon is that it's a WRX and it's not built on the STI platform. And so I said to you, you definitely sure you want to go WRX? Yep, absolutely. And then I started talking about all the things that the STI platform comes with and how much more that costs and why that's slightly better than the WRX. And then eventually I convinced you, look, yeah, I'm going to get the STI.
I didn't know a lot about cars at the time, right? I
Exactly.
thought you were driving an STI up until 6 months before we made that first video.
And that's what you ended up with, right?
Yeah.
Right up there is the white STI, and are you happy you got it?
Oh, I'm stoked I got it. Yeah, I probably would have regretted it looking back, but then again, maybe I wouldn't because I wouldn't have known what I was missing out on, right?
Yeah.
But fantastic car. I think what drew me to that was probably the technology in it as well.
Yeah.
And I remember we were sitting in Napier. we'd made that first video, and then the next couple of nights I was watching YouTube videos on this particular car that I ended up with.
That's right, we were watching lots of driving videos.
Trying to convince my wife, this is the car, this is the one. And I think it was probably within 2 to 3 weeks after returning from that trip that had one in the driveway. I think I pulled up to your house.
No, you pulled up here and you said, come around, I've got something I need to show you. So I come around and I'm like, oh, let's go for a drive.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that was the, I guess that was the start of, hey, look, we've got 2 cars here now. We've made our first video. Yeah. What do we do? Where do we take the channel from here? What's the plans for the next 12 months? Yeah.
And so a couple of the videos are just building up. We're trying to find our kind of style on the channel. What do we like doing? Product reviews? Do we like doing more vlog style? Do we like doing more sort of formal videos? And so the first couple of videos, I think, we just Blue WRX, and then you got your car, and then we just started to build from that. And we're still trying to find our feet today. We're trying to work out what kind of content works, what kind of content doesn't. We'd like to get into some more sort of vlog style type content where both you and I are chatting and cleaning cars and stuff like that. We do have 2 mics, but we don't have the cord to link the 2 mics, so we're at a bit of a standstill. Our camera setup here is we've got 2 iPhones and an iPad, and so we want to springboard off that sort of platform and get a little bit better. We edit on an iPad, and so to make this content slightly better for us, I think we do need to improve and invest some money in that type of filming background and things like that before we start to get a little bit better. But that's us, that's how we started, and so now we're going to talk about sort of how we're sort of going to progress and what this channel really means to us.
So what you will have seen the first 12 months of Omni Garage is a lot of detailing content on the channel. So I guess it's a combination of a couple of things. Namely, that was the passion. We've been doing it for quite some time, so we feel like even though our process probably wasn't down pat, the last few years, we've evolved. It was quite an easy thing for us to talk about because we're passionate about it. And the entry point, is quite easy. So we've got access to a lot of products. The cost of them isn't substantial as doing things like modifications on a car. So that's kind of where we ended up going, hey, this is accessible, we're passionate about it, let's start with detailing on the channel.
And so as we've sort of progressed, we've done a lot of detailing stuff, but we've started to get into some more engine type related stuff on the cars. Both Glenn and I have very limited knowledge about that stuff, and we're not very mechanically inclined. But as we sort of watch more YouTube channels and we watch more sort of videos related to that type of content, we've started to sort of get into it. Yes, it's more expensive to go into there, but I think that as we're sort of getting our detailing stuff pretty much wrapped up, that's our next sort of progression. So we've done a few things like we've changed the exhaust on your car, we've done some oil change, we've installed a couple of parts on the car, halo horns, etc. like that. So although it's pretty basic and pretty low end stuff, I do feel that we are sort of progressing in that kind of direction, and it's great fun for us because it's exciting, and we're learning a little bit more as things go on, and I definitely think being able to do your own things on the car is beneficial to you.
Yeah, so when we started out doing some of those types of videos, the halo horns, the cargo net installs, oil drain valves, one of the things that I found personally frustrating is that when I was looking on YouTube for content, I found all the content was there, but there was never anything that was uncut that showed the full process, the nuts, the bolts coming out, going back in. The mistakes I think was key as well, because you make mistakes as you do these things, and I didn't see any of that, so you didn't see how to fix things when you got to that point. So I guess that was our point of difference a little bit for our videos, is we want to leave in those type of videos as much of that detail in as possible.
And I think one of the biggest sold product for us on Amazon is the cargo net for the 2019 WRX STI, and I think one of the reasons why that has done so well is that video, we've shown all the little clips and all the little places where you plug it in, and a lot of videos sort of skip over that. It's quite boring to watch, and so for a person filming that type of content, it's very easy for them to miss it, to show you what it looks like all done, and have some sort of clickbaity type image, and that's how you get more views. But for us, we wanted to sort of improve on the frustrations that we have when we sort of are looking at something for the first time. And that sort of goes back to the exhaust video as well. A lot of people will put this exhaust in, show you 2 or 3 clips of it, and then they'll show you hundreds and hundreds of flybys and revs. Well, for us, we put a lot of detail into the exhaust hangers and things like that, just to add that little bit extra detail.
I think one of the benefits that we've got as a channel is there's 2 of us, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the ability to actually get some of the camera angles that a one-person YouTube channel couldn't do. So
yeah,
things like those clips, you can get in there. You've been laying in the boot in some videos to get the right angles. I've been under cars. it shows that detail, having both of us on hand to capture some of that content.
So although our videos tend to be a lot more long-winded, what that allows someone to do is have a look at the video from end to end, and that allows them to install it correctly with all the little bits and pieces that would necessarily be missing from other videos. And I suppose people who are looking for those short, sharp videos, they can just scroll through the video, find what they need to find to install it. But if that information has not been recorded at all to start with, then it's never going to be there, so those people who want that information are never going to be able to find it. And so that's why we tend to keep it in, so that it's there and other people can just scroll through and find whatever they need. I do get that probably has hindered us in terms of our peak amount of views, because people are looking for that more clickbaity, short type videos, just find what they need, but I feel that's a really important difference for us that we are trying to include for our type of video.
It's been a real benefit though, because obviously for YouTube monetization, you've got to accrue 4,000 hours of watch time within a 12-month period. And monetization was really important for us because we wanted to be able to reinvest money back into the channel. We wanted to be able to upgrade our audio equipment, I think was first on our list, then our video equipment, and then we wanted to continue to be able to fund all of this that we do so we can create more content. So doing those long videos meant that we reached our 4,000 hours, I think 9 to 10 months into the journey. And what that's meant since is that we've been able to reinvest every dollar that we've earned on the channel back into new products, better gear to improve the content and the content and quality of the videos that we've been making.
But don't get me wrong, like we have had help from some companies who have invested some money into us by supplying us with some detailing product, who have supplied us with some detailing machines, and have supplied us with a little bit of information and training that has helped us to improve our detailing. So great thanks to those guys who have helped us out on our journey. We couldn't have done it without you, and that sort of allowed us to advance ourselves a little bit further than what probably we could afford to do ourselves. But in saying that though, we have also invested a lot of money in buying our own detailing products, and that's allowed us to sort of get the products that we wanted when we wanted them, and that has also allowed us to have our own opinion and sort of tell you exactly how we felt about those products to you guys, so that you guys get the true benefit of that.
So while we're on that path to monetization, we really wanted to take things seriously. So first part in that process was obviously to have a logo produced. And we did engage someone from overseas who made a logo who just really didn't understand our creative vision behind it. And I think a lot of that was the barrier of communication. So we managed to engage with someone here locally, Kelly from Kalski Creative, and she did a fantastic job really understanding the vision that we had for the logo.
So although I drew basically a couple of concepts that we had discussed over a couple of nights, we sort of had a vision about what we wanted, and that gave us a little bit of a platform to give to Kelly. And she then took that vision based on our idea and basically added that creative flair that we now have. So we now have the words Omni Garage, and Omni basically means anything sort of garage related, and so that's quite fitting with what we do here. So we do a lot of detailing, but we also install car parts, and then we also have things like garage equipment and tools that we sort of work our way through. So everything garage related definitely fits us and our style and what we're trying to achieve here. So the logo, basically we have the circle, which represents the Omni part, and then inside that we then have the G, which is the garage part. So by having that O inside of a G basically means that Glenn and I are both sort of inside Omni Garage collectively, and that also creates this kind of community type feel where we're trying to bring other people in to this community to try and grow our brand and grow our knowledge, and we're trying to be very inclusive. So I think it's very fitting that the garage is inside Omni.
The natural progression from there was we had this amazing logo, we updated all the social platforms with it, and then we wanted to get it on t-shirts because we wanted to be able to, express it when we went out to car shows, create a bit of conversation around it. So we went on the t-shirt pursuit.
And so I think for me, doing this business type thing is very new, and I'm learning a lot about how to create brands and how to try and represent that brand. And it's very hard to try and find a company that you're happy with the first time. There's a lot of trial and error, and you've got to chuck a lot of money at this trial and error, so it does get expensive quite quickly. Anyway, we have managed to get some t-shirts, we've managed to get our logo on the front here, and we've got a little bit of a half logo on the side here. And then I then created some, little labels that I did for a website-based design company. And so we've then taken the basic t-shirt that you have with the logos, and then we've got some labels put on the sides here. So I think from a branding point of view, anyone can kind of create a logo, slap that on a t-shirt and be done with it. But I think for us, we like to take something and we like to improve on it and make it slightly better. So whether that's like a detailing process where you got the core process and try and improve it, and that's what we're about here. So that's really key with our logo and kind of like our t-shirt design. Yes, we've got the logo on a t-shirt, but then we've added some labels and we've sort of improved that product just to make it slightly a little bit better. And I think that's definitely going to help us continue on with our journey in terms of the business world, is that we're going to try and make things that little bit step better.
So where to from here for the next 12 months? Well, probably first of all, you're going to see a little bit of an evolution to the video style. We're not going to be leaving any of that detail out. We're still going to have all of the mistakes and all of the nuts and bolts in some of those installed videos that we do, but we really want to start to capture the in-between, what goes on in the Monday to Friday, because there's a lot of conversations that happen off camera that we don't get to share.
So it's going to be sort of more like a vlog type sort of style video, and that vlog style will continue to fill in the cracks between our big products that we're going to install. So when we do things like a big exhaust install or we do a detailing type series, then yes, the video style will change into more of a formal type style, but in between that will be this vlog style, and hopefully that kind of sort of system will create more of an inclusive type thing for the viewers. So hopefully you guys get to learn a little bit about us and learn a little bit what happens in between the big videos that we usually publish on the YouTube.
So while there isn't a hard business plan, there is a goal, and that goal is that we want to be able to focus on our passion 7 days a week eventually, rather than the 2 that we've got up our sleeve right now.
Yeah, so the great goal is to have some massive garage setup where we have all of our equipment in one location, and we don't have the 9-to-5 job anymore, and that we just do that for forever, and we're not reliant on having that supplement income to sort of support our passion. So that's the big goal, but for now we're just going to keep progressing through.
Yeah, so you won't see a whole lot changing from Omni Garage the next 12 months, other than we're going to try and bring you behind the scenes. There's a lot of the stuff that we've got going on with that new evolved style of video, but everything's going to remain the same, and we're going to bring you along with our learnings, the failures along the way as well, because I think that's really key to the brand that we want to share. We want to teach you guys from our learnings, because
Absolutely.
we're novices at a lot of the stuff that we're doing as well.
And we'd like to include you guys, and we'd like to grow sort of a community where you give us feedback, we give you guys feedback, and hopefully we can grow the brand as a collective thing rather than just Glenn and I on this journey alone. We really want to be inclusive here.
So that's the story of Omni Garage, a little bit about ourselves, how the brand started, what the brand means to us, and where we plan to take it in the future.
So stay tuned for more OEM Plus right here on the Omni Garage.
See you on the next one.